It's Wednesday night and you know what that means. Jim Ross welcomed to the show with Excalibur and Taz. The undisputed world champion Jon Moxley made his entrance from the back part of the arena with ring announcer Justin Roberts screaming the name. Moxley took his time walking around in the crowd as he made his way into the ring. Moxley said that he knows that they love their boy, CM Punk, but he thinks they are still mopping him off the mat in Cleveland. Moxley said that he once heard Punk described as the modern 60-minute man, so he said that's a load of crap and said that he had 57 minutes left in him, but Punk did not, since Moxley won in 3 minutes. Moxley said he's the heart and soul of it while adding that he tests them as well as pushes them. Moxley said that he didn't care when Punk gave him his best shots, so Punk started looking for a way out. Moxley said that Punk folded while adding that he curled up into a little ball and died. The fans chanted CM Punk while Moxley said that champions never fold. Moxley said he was genuinely sorry that Punk didn't turn out to be what you wanted him to be or what any of us wanted him to be. Moxley said it just didn't work out. Moxley made it clear that he has zero sympathy for CM Punk. Moxley said that Punk has fragile ego, fragile body, weak mind and weak spirit. Moxley said sorry because it's a tough business. Moxley had an open contract for a title match at All Out this Sunday. Moxley said it's already signed and he's just going to leave it right here. Moxley said when he says anybody, any place and any time, he's going to mean it. Moxley wondered if Rocky, Romero, had anybody else left from New Japan. Moxley issued a warning saying he can outfight you, out-wrestle you, and he's not just the undisputed world champion, he's the embodiment of professional wrestling. Moxley claimed that wrestling him may be hazardous to your health. Moxley said whoever you are, you've been warned. Moxley ended his promo. So if Serpentico ran out there to sign the contract then he faces Moxley on the pay-per-view? Yes, so why wouldn't anybody from the back run out there to get a title shot? Logically, it's dumb that nobody would attempt to grab it so that they can move on with the show. Ace Steel walked out from the back. He was shown last week when he helped CM Punk to the back. Steel is also a backstage producer in Steel took the contract and walked to the back with it. That was an entertaining promo from Moxley as usual. Steel grabbing the contract would set up what happened later in the show. It was actually good storyline progression following up what happened last week and starting it off with Moxley with a promo. Chris Jericho was interviewed by Tony Schiavone with Jericho saying his match against Bryan Danielson was a dream match for some, but a nightmare for one. Jericho said that Stu and Owen Hart would appreciate all that he's done in the wrestling business and he knows they would be impressed. Jericho talked about beating Bryan this Sunday at All Out. Daniel Garcia walked up to Chris saying he pledged his loyalty to the Jericho Appreciation Society. Garcia told Jericho that he believes in him. Jericho said he believes in Garcia too. Jericho said that this Sunday it will be Lionheart Chris Jericho and until then, Danielson should watch his back. Bryan Danielson vs Jake Hager was in control of Bryan on the turnbuckle as Jake unleashed some punches. Hager argued with the referee so Bryan came back with a missile dropkick. Bryan delivered kicks to the body leading to yes chants including a roundhouse kick to the head for 2. Hager got out of an armbar leading to strikes, then Bryan applied a triangle choke submission, but Jake Hager countered with a powerbomb. Bryan went for the label lock, Hager got out of that leading to an ankle lock. Bryan picked the ankle into a trip leading to another label lock, but Hager got to the bottom rope to break it. Bryan with chops then a dropkick and Hager caught Bryan into a slam. Bryan got out of a submission attempt, then he ducked Hager and Bryan hit the Psycho knee for the pinfall win after 11 minutes. Match was pretty good. I like how many submission counters there were from both guys. Neither guy could really lock in a submission for that long to win the match, so then Bryan was able to break free with the Psycho knee for the win. Hager just doesn't get much TV time in terms of matches, but he did look good here. The right guy won since Danielson has a big match against Jericho at All Out while Hager is not on the show. Post-match, Angelo Parker and Matt Menard went down to the ring to beat up Danielson, so Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta made the save. Jericho's buddies were literally chased to the back. Chris Jericho ran down to the ring with a steel chair, but there was Daniel Garcia to take the chair away from Jericho. When Jericho turned around, Bryan hit the Psycho knee on Jericho. Garcia had a serious look on his face looking at Jericho down in the ring as Bryan left triumphantly. That was well booked as a post-match angle to add more to the story of Garcia possibly turning Jericho to support Bryan instead. My feeling is Garcia is probably going to remain a heel by helping Jericho beat Bryan at All Out. If not, turning Garcia face does make sense too. The wingman group of Ryan Nemeth, Cesar Bononi, Peter Avalon and J.D. Drake were in the ring with signs that said "More Wingmen on TV." They complained about not being on TV more. William Morrissey, former Big Cass in WWE, made his entrance and destroyed the Wingman group easily. Morrissey hit chokeslams on Drake and Nemeth along with a big boot to Benoni. Stokely Hathaway went down to the ring. Avalon charged, Morrissey caught him and gave him a huge chokeslam as well. Hathaway went into the ring to give Morrissey his business card. Big size difference there as Morrissey put the card in his pocket and walked away. I know Morrissey was a free agent with rumors of a possible return to WWE, but choosing him is certainly fine if that's what he wants. I know Morrissey was dating Lexi Nair, the backstage interviewer, so if they are still together, it makes sense for him to sign with her as well. Morrissey has gotten into the best shape of his career, so kudos to him for that. Will Ospreay and Aussie Open were interviewed by Alex Mervez. Will said he finally gets to get his chance to be in the ring with Kenny Omega. Don Callis walked into the room to suck up to Ospreay and then point out that Omega hit him with a one-winged angel the last time they were in a tag team match. Dr. Britt Baker DMD and Jamie Hayter vs Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm. These four women are the Interim World Championship 4-way match at All Out. Hayter with a shoulder tackle on Shida 2 times in a row. Shida ran the ropes leading to a hurricane rana that sent Hayter hard into the mat. Shida went up top with a double axe handle to Hayter's back. Storm tagged in with her own double axe handle on Hayter. Baker tagged in, Storm with a drop toe hold, then a running back elbow and a trip in the corner. Hayter tripped Storm while on the floor as the heels took control and the show went to break there. The heels were in control with Storm as the face in peril as Storm hit a DDT out of the corner. Shida tagged in against Hayter with corner punches along with a delayed vertical suplex. Shida hit a Meteora double knees for 2 on Storm as Baker broke up the pin. Storm kicked Baker out of the ring while Hayter hit a double suplex on both opponents. Baker back in with a suplex into a neckbreaker for 2. Shida got a roll-up for 2 as Baker came back with a super kick. Baker with a forearm to the head leading to Rebel handing Baker the dreaded glove. While that was happening, Shida jumped off the ropes with a kick to the head. Shida pulled Hayter off the apron to stop a tag. Storm illegally in with a hip attack on Baker and Storm DDT'd Hayter on the floor. Shida finished off Baker with a knee to the head for the pinfall win. It went about 8 minutes. A pretty good match here that was earlier in the show compared to where they usually put the women in hour 2. The finish was well done even though it did feature Storm illegally going into the ring, but that's where they try to make the referees look stupid. Anyway, it gives Shida and Storm some momentum. I was probably picking Storm to win it all out, but may go in another direction when I write the preview later in the week. There was a brief video with comments from Kip Sabian and the All-Atlantic Champion Pac. Sabian talked about sitting in the crowd with a box on his head for a year as if it was genius plan. Sabian said that on Sunday, Pac will be the first to embrace the change, so that's another match at All Out.
CM Punk made his entrance wearing a Larry, his dog, sweatshirt, jeans and sneakers, so he was not in his wrestling gear. Punk had a calm demeanor to him as he walked into the ring for a promo. Punk looked sad with Junior saying he looked like he hadn't slept in a week. CM Punk said that on June 1st, he broke first and that would be bad enough, but then he wrestled on it and his surgeon said he pulverized it. Punk talked about getting plates and screws into his foot, then he said that it's 16 more times than some fat guy, in the crowd, has ever gotten screwed in his life. I guess the guy didn't like Punk. Punk said he shouldn't have said that, but he shouldn't have done some things in his career. Punk talked about last week he lost and he had to drive home from Cleveland with his thoughts. Punk said he was cleared to compete last week, his foot feels good and it's a new 100%. Punk said he didn't know if that 100% is good enough. Punk said he came back to professional wrestling a year ago because he loved this business, but the business doesn't love you back. Punk said he also came back because he loved the fans and the fans love him back. Punk spoke about how he felt like he let the fans down while adding he couldn't walk Larry the dog and he feels like he let him down because he couldn't walk for 2 months. Punk said he saw his sister in the front row while saying he felt like he let her down. Punk talked about how maybe that love isn't just enough anymore. Ace Steel walked out from the back wearing the lanyard around his neck since he works for you. Steel said this is not what Punk said he was going to talk about. Taz said that these guys are best friends for years. Steel said his name, saying that he trained this man, and Steel said he was proud of his own career, but he's more proud of Punk's career. Steel said that they aren't just friends, they've seen things come and go, so they are family. Steel said that you don't family down just like Punk didn't let Chicago down. Steel said that Punk filled an arena on a rumor that after 7 years, Punk came back to wrestling. Steel said, so what if Punk lost in Cleveland? Steel slapped Punk in the face and told him he's going to get up to fight. Steel said that Punk is going to sign this contract and fight Jon Moxley on Sunday at All Out. Steel told the crowd to tell Punk who he is as the fans chanted CM Punk for Punk. Steel told Punk to sign it. Punk hugged Steel. Punk said that before he was CM Punk, he was just a punk rock kid in Chicago, and he was born lonely in the hospital with a cord around his neck since they tried to kill him from the day he was born. Punk said that they have been trying to kill him, but Jon Moxley is not the guy to kill him. Punk walked into the card saying, this is Chicago where the weak are killed and eaten. Punk walked into the card saying, we are different kids, but we have the same heartbeat. Punk shout, Jon Moxley at All Out, you can't break my bones, you can't drink my blood because we are Chicago. Punk was in the crowd with fans as he signed the contract. Punk's music played as he high-fived some fans in the crowd. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy did a sit-down taped interview moderated by Jim Ross, who said that they agreed to no physicality. Christian told Jungle Boy that Jack will realize he's not in Christian's league. Boy talked about how he cared about Christian, he said it felt very familiar and he loved him, but whether or not Christian cared, he made Boy feel like he loved Christian too. Christian said that this is the real him. Christian said he's not there to be his friend or his father. Boy said don't talk about being a father to him, and Boy said that his father taught him how to be a man. Jungle Boy said you won't be wrestling Jungle Boy, you'll be fighting Jack Perry. Wardlow, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler vs Silas Young, Vic Capri and Ran Jones. Wardlow with a headbutt to Jones followed by a wind-up lariat. Wheeler with a back elbow, then a suplex and Harwood chopping Jones in the corner. Harwood with a clothesline. FDR hit the big rig on Capri, leading to Wardlow hitting 2 power bombs for the pinfall win. It went about 2 minutes. Evil Uno and Ten were interviewed by Tony Schiavone, with Ten having some tape around his knee and crutches. Evil Uno, who has a very visible tan line, said he's replacing Ten in the Trios tournament. Andrade tried to offer them money to work for them. Evil Uno refused it, and Andrade beat up Evil Uno easily while Jose the assistant used a stun gun on Ten. Dante Martin vs Rush vs Ray Phoenix vs Wheeler Yuta. William Regal joined commentary again. This was not for Yuta's Raw Pure Champion. This should be chaotic. Yuta tried a submission on Rush, but Rush backed out of it and hit a power slam. Martin with a crossbody block on Rush. Martin countered a Phoenix move with a code red, then Phoenix back up with a Hurricane Rana for 2, then a dropkick, and Phoenix hit a dive onto Rush on the floor. Yuta hit a suicide dive on Phoenix. Martin was next with a twisting splash off the top onto 2 guys standing on the floor. Back in the ring, Martin jumped off the top with Rushing hitting him with a headbutt. Rush ran the ropes, leading to a somersault dive over the top onto 3 guys. That meant that all 4 guys hit dives onto the floor as the show went to break. The match returned with Rush suplexing Martin onto Phoenix. Yuta hit a missile dropkick, Rush got a hold of Yuta and hit a straightjacket piledriver for 2. Phoenix kicked Rush out of the ring. Martin got a hold of Phoenix, leading to sit-out full Nelson slam for 2. Phoenix with a couple of slams on Martin, leading into a powerbomb for 2. Phoenix with a back kick that sent Rush out of the ring. Martin with a poison rana on Phoenix. Martin went for a springboard attack, Yuta shoved him down and Phoenix got an uppercut shot on Yuta. Phoenix jumped off the top onto Rush on the floor. Yuta jumped off the top. Martin avoided that and Yuta hooked the limbs of Martin in a seatbelt pinning move for the pinfall win after about 8 minutes. Exciting spot fest with some occasional, but not consistent selling. At least it was a creative wrestling hold that won the match, which might be a surprise in a match that was all about doing dives out of the ring. I don't think it really mattered who won. It was just a bunch of random guys thrown together that are also in the ladder match at All Out. There's not really any story. It's just you throwing them out there in matches. Phoenix was the most impressive to me. John Silver and Alex Reynolds were interviewed by Tony Schiavone, who mentioned Evil Uno was taken out and 10 was injured. That led to Hangman Adam Page saying he wanted this tournament to be their moment. Page said that if they need a partner, they have always had him. Silver said that's a good idea. Page said we'll see you Friday. U-Trio's title tournament semi-finals, Kenny Omega, Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson vs Will Ospreay, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. Omega was wrestling in a tight black shirt. Ospreay ran over Omega to start. Omega ran over Ospreay, who no-sold it leading to a kip-up. They exchanged punches, then Ospreay with a chop and Omega with a chop of his own. Young Bucks and Aussie Open each went into the ring illegally. They got into a weak-looking slugfest and then Aussie Open missed an attack, so then they bumped to the floor. Matt launched Nick onto Ospreay for a head scissors. Fletcher and Davis caught the Bucks on the floor and slammed them into Omega. Ospreay dove off the top rope with a twisting dive onto the 3 opponents. The easy-to-please crowd chanted "This is awesome" for them. The wrestlers were fighting up the aisle. Is there a referee? Yes. He was not doing anything like counting them out. I'm not saying I want a count-out finish. I'm just saying don't make the referee look stupid or make the fans at home question why it's booked like this. Anyway, it was a picture-in-picture break. Davis was dominant for the heel side with a double clothesline and then he slammed both Young Bucks at the same time. Fletcher with a kick to the ribs followed by a jumping cutter off the middle rope for 2 as Omega made the save. Matt with the head scissors leading to moves on all 3 opponents including a spot sending Ospreay into the mat. Omega was back in against Davis with Omega hitting a dropkick into and a jump over the head into a bulldog for 2. Fletcher in illegally leading to a Snapdragon suplex, then a Snapdragon suplex on Davis and Ospreay in illegally as Omega sent him towards the ropes. Ospreay with a super kick even though he wasn't legal. Ospreay landed on his feet during a move, then a Hurricane Rana and Ospreay tried to dive over the top, but Omega caught him. Omega hit a Snapdragon suplex on the floor. Aussie Open were both on the turnbuckle with a superplex on Omega off the middle rope. I guess Davis was legal as he covered for 2 with Nick making the save. Ospreay tagged in to rip the black shirt off Omega. Kenny had his ribs taped, his right shoulder taped and some cupping marks on his back. Ospreay hit a spinning backbreaker for 2. They went to another picture-in-picture break. There were about 7 minutes left as Nick tagged in with a Canadian Destroyer off the ropes. Nick hit a double-team arm drag, head scissors combo on both Aussie Open guys and a double facebuster. Nick with a DDT onto Ospreay on the floor. Nick jumped off the ropes with a 450 splash. Ospreay got the knees up and hit a Snapdragon suplex. Omega in illegally to exchange strikes with Ospreay with the referee pointing to the apron as if that matters. Omega avoided a kick to the head. Ospreay got a hold of Omega with a powerbomb. I think it was Fletcher who tagged in on Nick, but Nick hit a cutter on Ospreay. Matt tagged in with a superkick. Nick and Omega each did moves including a powerbomb and a double superkick along with a knee combo for 2 as Davis broke up the pin. Nick hit a twisting dive onto Davis on the floor. Ospreay with an Oscutter on Nick, then Fletcher reversed Matt and Ospreay did a shooting star press into a piledriver for Fletcher on Matt for 2. A better description is that Will didn't land it well and jumped into Matt, I think. Ospreay barely helped with the move, but Matt managed to kick out of it. Nick grabbed Ospreay's leg, then Omega into the ring with a knee and the Young Bucks hit multiple super kicks. Fletcher staggered to his feet leading to a triple superkick on Fletcher. Omega got the tag as Ospreay hit a jumping knee and kicked the Bucks, but then Omega was back after no selling and they hit a double team indie taker on Ospreay, who was not legal. Omega hit a V-trigger knee on Fletcher and Omega hit the one-winged angel on Fletcher for the pinfall win after about 19 minutes.